Hello and welcome to Women Thrive TV. This is Soul and Beyond, and I am Gwenda, your host. Good evening to you wherever you are coming from in the world, and to all those who will watch after we finish today's show. I thank you and we look forward to your comments. Our topic this evening, or today, it's this evening for me, but our topic today is a purposeful life and dying. We are going to talk about a subject that many people find very difficult. So please stay with me. Have some water, maybe some tissues, but most importantly, put your feet flat on the floor. Take a deep breath and welcome the guidance, welcome the peace, and maybe even a whole new awareness around dying. This time of year is often a very difficult one for many people. And this time of year, there are countless souls wanting to make connection between heaven and earth, to be able to let their earth family know that they are with them and around them. In my culture, it is very common to give cheers to our loved ones who are no longer with us. But the wording isn't quite correct. They are with us, and that's what we're going to delve into tonight. And I hope that when we come to the close of tonight's show, you have a much more peaceful heart around the loss of loved ones, and also some powerful insights and ways that you can look forward to knowing that they are with you, not just on Christmas Day, but any other day. So let's have a look at how this came about. Well, I am a natural born seer. I have been able to see through people since I was 4, and probably before. It's just that 4 is my earliest memory. I have communicated with souls, with spirits, with angels, with lost souls, with dark energies all of my life. And I've had many incredible encounters with those souls, with visitors that come to share their message of love or their message of what they're not happy about with their loved ones. What's it like to be a natural seer? And what does it mean, a natural seer? What I mean by a natural seer is I was all intact with my abilities when I arrived in this world. It is not something that I have had to learn. What I've had to learn is the difference between here, what we see here in the what's called the living world, and that again is far from what's real, but it's what we understand to be real until you embrace the awareness of other worlds, other dimensions outside of this one. This one is nothing. Oh, I can hear some of you say, well, that's not how it feels to me. Well, I'll say you're right, because this earth, this place is known as the hardest school in the universe. And I'm sure some of you would agree. Marie Ferguson, hello and welcome. Delight to have you. And Michelle, hello, sweet. How are you both? So being able to have this unity with my abilities, including being able to bring through healing light and the guidance, it has been an amazing journey. And it's one that has created some really interesting bumps for me in my, shall I say, human life. So that's what it's like. Well, that's an introduction to being a natural seer. What's it like? It's, as the old saying says, a gift and the curse all in one. And I'll give you an example of that. I had a lady come to my house to purchase a chair that I no longer wanted. She called me Glinda and laughed, and she said, "I know that's not your name, but I just feel that Glinda, I don't know, there's something about it." And I laughed in return. We're strangers. And I said, "Many people want to call me that, or Glenda. And it's Glinda, the good witch." And I laughed and said, "Some days I like to play. Play and fun is integral to the soul and to your harmony." And then she looked at me and she said, "What do you do?" So in a nutshell, I said, "Well, I'm a healer. It's easiest for people to understand." Eventually, I took her in to show her the room where that chair no longer suited. And then a step further along to the healing room. And she was invited to step in. And that is unusual. Well, she didn't just step in, she stepped right up to the head of the healing table. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. So she asked, "Is it hands-on or hands-off?" And I'm talking to her, and then a child appeared behind her. So in our conversation, I said to her, "The child that was not able to come through to this world is standing with you, and they have a message." And she immediately burst into tears. She was beside herself, and I had to wait for her to settle, in fact, give her a hug. And I went on to tell her what the child had to say. And now she was extremely distraught. And I said, "Well, good one, that is not helpful. Somebody needs to come and help." I was talking to the angelic realm, and I was talking to the soul of that would-be child. She told me, "I don't think that was right of you. I don't think that was right of you to tell me that. I have had so much trouble dealing with that. I don't think that you were right to say anything." And that opened the door for me to explain that as a seer, I don't make the decisions. I have an obligation. It is my role, and this is who I am. If spirit appear, they appear because they need to get a message through, and I am the conduit. "No," she said, "no, you don't understand." And I was listening to the soul of her would-be child, and I knew exactly what she meant. And this might be a little difficult for some of you, but as I said, take a breath, plant your feet, and open to new awareness and insights and some healing for yourself. You see, this lady had aborted her child, and she had not been able to come to terms with that. She said, "You don't understand how many appointments, how many sessions I've had." And I said, "I may not understand the sessions, but I understand where you are coming from." So you see, that's a small example of what it's like to be a seer. When spirit turn up, or when the soul of a person wishes to communicate, I must honor that. I cannot say, "Come back another day," or "I don't want to do that." I have so many stories to share with you of encounters with loved ones who have come through to offer love, offer insights, offer peace for their earth family because they are struggling. And as I said to that lady, this is actually healing for you and for your baby that did not come through to this world. That took quite a while to get her head around. But eventually when she left, she said, "That's really quite amazing what you do. It's not what I do, it's who I am." When I had a health and wellness centre, The clients used to trade remarks as they walked in and out past each other. And I heard a few of the men say, "I'm sure she can see straight through me sometimes, you know." And I would just smile because, yes, I can. That is what it is like to be a natural seer, to be in this world and be of other worlds. Encounters with ghosts, what are called ghosts, encounters with spirits, angels, these are all part of my everyday life. And some days I've got to tell you, I would rather be in the realm that they are in than this one. This one is much harder. And why is that? It's because people here in the humanness lose their way. They lose their way with what their purpose is. They lose their way with their alignment with their soul. The question a lot of people ask is it possible for you to connect with souls and angels? Most definitely it is, and they celebrate when you decide that you would like to do that, that you would like to be able to switch in between the dimensions and visit other realms. They get very excited. So yes, you most definitely can. And that's something that I teach. So I can help you with those abilities and with you to be able to be aligned with those abilities. And often for women who have lost children, it's very healing for them to be able to hear from the soul of those babies. And I can tell you that I am one of those women. I lost my left fallopian tube thanks to an ectopic pregnancy. And I asked the soul of that baby, "What were you doing? What were you thinking? You blew up my fallopian tube and now I only have one." And then when I was 40 and super fit, I was determined to show women that just because you turn 40, you don't have to have rollers and wear a frock with lots of flowers. And I don't have any objection to those, by the way. So I was super fit. In fact, my doctor had told me that I would die before him. I might look better than him, but I would die early because I was training so much. Well, I guess that's why I was training so much. I did die on the operating table. And that was another child. That was another soul that was working their way on coming through to this world, but they were not in the womb. They were up under my ribs. We both almost died. But here I am to share with you a purposeful life and about dying. And what do we do in between times? So how can you live a purposeful life? The most common question I am asked is, what is my purpose? What's my life all about? Now, if we unwrap all of that, you would find it is extremely simple. However, the wrapping that has been placed around us from the time we got into this world has created a distortion and has taken us away from what our purpose is. And would you know, the purpose of the soul is to experience the humanness for expansion. That's all. It's not about becoming CEO of some big international company. It's not about becoming world's best speaker. It's not about being the world's best muffin cooker. It's none of that. It is about the human experience through feelings for the soul to embrace expansion and for the soul to be able to experience through love, peace, and joy, because there are only two things that the soul actually knows, and that is pure love and pure joy. But in this world, what are we taught from early? That if we're good, we'll be loved, or we are loved when we're good. If we're not and we're forever in trouble, then we're not loved. If we dress the right way, talk the right way, get the right grades, we're accepted. We're not accepted if we don't. And all of this starts to build layers of false beliefs and creates patterns of behaviour. Now, I'm a big one for boundaries and I'm a big one for discipline. Children cannot run riot just like animals in the zoo cannot run riot. Is there much difference between animals in the zoo and children? They both are being raised in a cage. Think about it. There are so many requirements. You must go to school. You must get a job. You must be successful. You must make something of your life. You must know how to eat properly. Sounds like a cage to me. What do you think? Don't be quiet in the comments. Come on in and share your thoughts so we can open up a conversation on this. So, living a purposeful life. When we realize what was expected of us by our parents or carers, teachers, what were the demands made on us? Like, you will go to university. You go to university and you'll have the best life because you will have a degree. That is a cage, and it creates a false belief around who you really are. And you're also satisfying someone else's needs. That is not a purposeful life. So how do you live a purposeful life? You live by, thank you, Faith, and good evening. You live by what your heart leads you to. So if your heart is very strong around caring for people, if your heart is very strong about caring for animals and going to sanctuaries or starting something that rescues them, makes a difference to their environment, you can transfer that across to children, to other human beings. If your heart wants for the earth to be the beautiful garden sanctuary that it is meant to be, so you find yourself doing things in the world that makes a difference to the waterways, the rivers, the ocean, then you are living a purposeful life. There is another way to look at this, and that is living a life on purpose. And I prefer living a life on purpose. When you're living a life on purpose, you have a unique connection to your heart, and you will not leave it. One thing that women are very good at doing is forfeiting their purpose for a spouse, for a man, or even for another woman. It's called love, apparently, but they will forfeit what is in their heart to suit and fit in with the other person. Anybody here done that? I know I did. I did in earlier years, but it didn't take me long to learn that that was not what my heart or my soul was going to let me do. So if you want to live a purposeful life and live a life on purpose, begin to really have a look at the things that light you up, things that are a wish. I wish I had done that. Or I've always wanted to travel the Andes. I've always wanted to live in Peru. I've always wanted to go to Egypt or the remote deserts of Australia. Now, if you go down that path, your next question is, what is that really about? What is it that calls me to that wish? Now you're getting closer to your purpose. You see, the things that your soul wishes to experience are what bring you to being in alignment with your purpose. When you really follow those intuitions, those really strong guidances, then you are in soul alignment and living your life on purpose, of purpose. I could go into the constraints that are deliberately created in this world, but I might save that for another time. Rather than go there tonight, what I'm asking you to look at is visit your wishes, your dreams. Get a journal, write them down, and then the next part is to ask, what is it about that draws me to want to be in Peru, to trek through Peru? What is it that draws me to want to write? Would you like to write for Women Thrive magazine? You can also always reach out to them on the website and ask yourself, what is that about? What is it that I want to bring forward, perhaps as a writer for Women Thrive magazine? But know first, where's that coming from? And what is that really strong desire that you have? Even working with children and wanting to help children, take a little time to sit and ask yourself, what is that about? Now, if you answer, it makes me happy, then you will need to delve a little bit more. You see, this life creates so many layers. And as Michelle can attest to, layers and levels. There are levels within the layers and there are layers within the levels. And every time we think we've just nailed that purpose, oh, there's something else. Always remember that this life is a journey. There is no end to it. Michelle asks, is having a sense of service to others part of your purpose? It is a very good question, Michelle, and it could well be. What you would need to do is that little journaling exercise and really delve into what is it about a sense of service to others that calls you? What is it that pulls you to want to do that? Now, I'm addressing Michelle, and as I have a male who addresses himself as a brother who has appeared in spirit to my right. And because I'm talking to Michelle, he belongs in her family. And he has come in to say that for the new year, he will be her guide. He will help her through the things that she is busy evolving and growing, and help her with a greater understanding of some of the things that took place in her years of growing up in the family. You see, it's always exciting for me. You never know who's going to appear, be it an angel. So I've had many encounters with an angel. Yes, Michelle, a brother of yours that did not make it through to this life. He says number 3. So he would have been number 3. And this also, I'm going to let you know that Michelle would not be aware. Only her mother would be aware. And this is not unusual. I did not know that there was a boy between myself and my second sister until more recent years, and I had to ask my mum. So when our beautiful spirit family come to see us, they often bring a surprise, especially when they did not make it through to this world and now they're turning up to be a guide. It is not uncommon. And that is a word I prefer not to use. It has the un in front of it, which means it's not a word that the soul resonates with. So living, there you go. And he's going to be, dying with a peaceful heart. We haven't got to dying yet. We're going to look at a couple of other things around angels and connecting ghosts and souls. Because, as I said in the beginning, this time of year is often very emotional for a lot of people when they wish to have their loved ones who are no longer in this world, wish to have them nearby. You know, they long for you to know that they are with you. They long for you to be able to feel them and connect with them. And one of the simplest ways that you can do that is to use a photo and a candle and focus your energy. If you don't have a photo, or you would rather call upon your last memory, good memory, loving memory of your family member, and call them in, ask them to come and let you know that they're there. And they will use simple ways such as a scent, a smell, a flower, something that is synonymous between the two of you, something that you know is familiar between you both. The thing is that your heart will get in the way, and you will often ignore or get upset. But I encourage you to try again, because they will come again. They love for you to talk to them. They love for you to call them in. And they can show you in so many different ways that they're around. Connecting with angels is bliss, absolutely wonderful. And to connect with angels, you would set yourself up in a sacred space, be very specific with the angel, preferably, and I am going to use the word God, if you wish to use the Almighty Divine, the Great Spirit, the Great Creator, not universe, unless you're calling for the God of humanity's universe. And I can talk about that another day. But to connect with angels, you want to make sure that you are connecting with the right ones and with those who are of the highest light of the divine, of God. I am not religious. It is only through my encounters with angels, with deities, with ascended masters, with other beings that makes me reference that word. When loved ones come through, I'd like to share with you a couple of experiences. A couple of you might have heard this story, but a young lady had come for a channeled guidance session many, many years ago, and a man appeared, and he appeared to be sitting on a grassy knoll, a hill. I explained to her that someone had come in and I would just find out who they were. So I asked him what I could help with and why he was there. And in no uncertain terms, he told me it was none of my business and that I was to do my job and give her the messages that he wanted delivered. The long story short is that it was her father. And when I explained what he was saying word for word, I do not have the right to change what a spirit is saying, what a soul is saying, or an angel. So when I explained, she knew immediately who it was, and she laughed and cried and said, "Oh, that's Dad." This man had said that there was nothing after this life. So he was going to sit on a hill for eternity. And so there he was. his mother and brother who were in spirit appeared, and he said to me, "Don't tell me to go with them. I'm not going with them." They said to me they had been to him many times and they got the same answer. And then 2 angels appeared on the other side, and he said, "Oh, and don't tell me to go with them either. I'm not going anywhere." And so I asked him, "Are you going to sit on that hill for eternity?" And he told me it was none of my business. And if that's where he wanted to stay, which it was, then that's what he would do, and that I should just get on with my job. So that was one incredible experience. Another is the child that almost cost me my life when I was 40, a little boy, and he would turn up for, it was 3 years. Every year he turned up on what would have been his birthday. And in the end, on the 3rd year, I had to ask him not to come anymore because it distressed me so much. Learning from him about his effort of coming through, you see, I had been sterile for over 20 years. I didn't have any tubes, no fallopian tubes. There was no way. I was a medical enigma. They could not believe that there was a baby up under my ribs. So I had to ask that he not return. And then there was a gentleman who appeared, or actually, sorry, I'll step back. I was in tourism and I was in Penang, in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm seated at the table with over 22 other people. And the man sitting next to me, he and I did not get along. We always locked horns. So we really didn't want to be sitting next to each other. It was very uncomfortable, and our colleagues knew. So somebody was tapping very firmly on my shoulder, and I had scanned the table. There was no one from our crew that was around with me, and when I looked around, to my surprise, was the spirit of a man, and he said, "I want you to give him a message," pointing at the man that I didn't get along with and he didn't get along with me. And I said, "You've got to be joking. Not here, not now, and not him." And he said, "Yes, and you know you must." Well, my gosh, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. So I asked for help, and I told him I would pass on his message, deliver his message when I could. And he said, "No, tonight. It must be tonight." So long story short on that one, the man that I did not get along with, who is now in spirit, the man who tapped my shoulder was his brother, and his brother had been murdered in a deliberate bomb blast in a state of Australia. When I was able to orchestrate an appropriate time or a safe time to talk to this man, can you imagine his outburst when I said, "I have a message from your brother"? He flew into an anger and told me in no uncertain terms, my brother was murdered. Now, I didn't know that. My brother was murdered. You've got no right. Well, there his brother stood next to me, and so I just ran off with what he had to say. And that sat him back on his heels because there was no way that I had any of that knowledge. Can I tell you, I was his bestest mate after that night. He couldn't do enough for me after that night, which I did not request or require, but he was absolutely astounded, and it brought him so much healing. So connecting with souls is who I am, and it is a deeply humbling, incredible, amazing gift. This Christmas, for you, as you sit around your tables, take some time to send love to your loved ones and invite them to let you know you want to hear from them. And you will. It will be in the most subtle ways most often, but you will. Living your life with a peaceful heart and then dying with a peaceful heart. Why is that even a thing? Why is that important? Well, we burden ourselves with such a lot of heartache in our life. Would you agree? There are so many things that take place for many people and they are not able to resolve it. They hold regret, sometimes angst, sometimes hate in their heart. And you cannot live a peaceful life, a purposeful life, or a life on purpose when there are any of those things held in your heart. That in turn makes it very difficult for you to pass from this world peacefully. You know, everybody writes RIP, rest in peace. How about die in peace? It's really important for your soul. It's important for the physical body and the mind to be able to leave this world in peace, with a peaceful heart. So many people wait until they are on their deathbed to make peace, to let go of regrets. Why wait until then? Why not make your life rich in purposefulness, rich in being on purpose, peaceful and joyous? Give yourself 5 minutes a day to really check in with your heart and find if there's anything in there that needs healing, that needs compassion, most of all needs love. Love is the greatest healer of all, and it's what will bring you to a place of dying with a peaceful heart. There is a process to dying, and it is one that you can take with incredible love and peace, or not. And I have seen many people choose not. And that makes life and dying extremely painful. It also means that to do what is called crossing over, meaning moving from this realm, dimension into the next, it makes it difficult. I have encountered souls that have got themselves caught between worlds because they were not at peace, because there were things that were not resolved for them. And often I am the conduit to bring about that resolution. But this doesn't have to be this way. Living with a peaceful heart means being able to accept all your decisions, all your directions, means being able to accept all the versions of you with complete love and harmony. There has been many versions of you in your life already. How do you look upon them? Can you visit each one and really say that you hold that version of yourself with great love, no regrets, and that you accept the decisions, the choices that were made during that time of that version of you? And then come to the version of yourself as you are now and be passionately purposeful about who you want to be in the world and how you want to be. You see, it's more about being than it is doing. Much more about being. Let's have a look at what Serge has to say. Good holy morning, Holy Spirit, holy blessings. Thank you very much, Serge, and the same back to you, and thank you for being here. So, dying with a peaceful heart closes your life off from this world, and it brings you into the next with radiance, with joy, with everything the soul is. Pure, beautiful, divine love and joy. And that is all there is. There's nothing more than that. Leave regrets behind. Leave holding on to past pains behind. Now, today, not when you are preparing to leave this world. And I can hear someone asking about what are called tragic deaths. So before I go tonight, I would like for those of you who are asking that question, when it is perceived that a loved one has had a tragic death, maybe through what is called an accident, maybe through the hands of someone else. Through my encounters with souls that have gone through what is called a tragic death, what I would like you to know most of all is that what appears a suffering, what is said to be a suffering in this life, the soul did not. The soul is always rescued, for want of a better word, it is rescued before it can be harmed. We have more things in our living days that create fragmentation of the soul than what we do when we appear to have died tragically. So for everyone who is feeling the pain of a loved one who left this world through what is called a tragic way, may you have peace in your heart. Bring forward the love of your loved one and know that their soul was not having an experience of that of the physical body. It doesn't work that way. I can promise you that. So what happens when a soul is angry and we have those that create trouble? They come back and they can be a destructive ghost or a destructive energy, create havoc. You know, when people say a place is haunted, oh, don't go in there, it's haunted. Does it mean that they are carrying the pain of their passing? Yes, it can do. That imprint that they have held onto and they've chosen not to move over, not to transition, but to stay and be a problem. And most often when I get to talk to those souls, it's really quite beautiful to take them through being able to feel at peace and to leave and to find themselves in the next world where it is bliss, peaceful, harmonious, and full of love. So for your hearts from mine tonight, I offer you love, I offer you peace, and for you to know that your loved ones love you very much and that they are around you. They hear you, they see you, and they do their best to let you know that they are answering. So at this time of year, may your hearts be full of love, full of beautiful memories of good times, and most of all, at peace. And I thank you again for being with us, either live or on the replay, and I look forward to seeing you again. I will be back next week at the same time. So I'll bid you good night, good day, and many blessings. Bye for now.